Okay, here we are. We're back. It's probably not going to be March when this goes up because who cares anymore? Life has no meaning. Yeah. You had to watch Goldmember. I'm Zach, and this is Callie, and we're both deeply regretting having signed up for this project, having forced this project on ourselves. Morale is definitely plunging. But we did watch Goldmember, and now I guess we have to talk about it. Let me first just give through a couple of these comments we got on YouTube. Our loyal listener, Humongous, he shared that he thought initially that his Mike birth month was Love Guru, but in fact, Callie pointed out that November is actually Wayne's World 2. And weirdly, he seemed disappointed by that. So and he said he hasn't seen The Love Guru, so it's Schrodinger's movie. It's both a masterpiece and a diaper fire at the same time until it comes up in your podcast or I see it, whichever comes first. I would put really good money that it's going to be diaper fire. And then he also mentioned, this is interesting. I didn't know this. At least I don't think I knew this, that the design of Shrek is based on a wrestler from the 40s or 50s named Maurice, I guess it would be Tillet, because I think it's French. And yeah, he was a French professional wrestler known by the ring name The French Angel. And if you look him up, he does, in fact, look quite a bit like Shrek. So so there you go. What is it about giant French wrestlers? That's because obviously I grew up with Andre the Giant. I didn't grow up with him, but I grew up with him as a presence in my life.
Why doesn't Shrek have a French accent instead of a Scottish accent?
That is an excellent question, and I think the answer is Mike Myers. But anyway, it's interesting. I'll put a picture of Maurice Tillet in the notes here, and that does explain why he does the professional wrestling move. So that is actually. There's a reason for that. And then another loyal listener, Jukebox Cowboy, said, have you ever seen the Clint Eastwood movie, The Gauntlet? What you two are about to endure makes that challenge look like a walk in the park. Eastwood merely had to dodge bullets. The Cat in the Hat would have taken his ass down. Long live the three Michael Myers militia. I just love the idea of Clint Eastwood facing off against the Cat in the Hat. That's a sequel.
I wish that was what the movie was. I just want them to inappropriately insert Clint Eastwood into the movie.
It's just I want to see Dirty Harry pointing the Magnum at the Cat in the Hat and giving the "Do you feel lucky, punk" speech.
and then it would cut to the Cat in the Hat, and he would, now that's not very nice.
So anyway, we're here to talk about Goldmember. Thank you both for hanging on with us. This is going to be rough. We talked about this a little bit. We've talked about how much we were dreading it. It did not upset our expectations, I have to say. But this was a wildly successful film for some reason. This is, as usual, from Wikipedia. The film was distributed by New Line Cinema, released in the United States on July 26, 2002. So yeah, that would have been the summer before my senior year of high school. So like at this point, I had already seen some like real movies, and I was like, my tastes had matured to the point, I honestly probably wouldn't have even been impressed by The Spy Who Shagged Me at that point. But I came into it with excitement, and this is the first Mike Myers movie that disappointed me in real time. So that I guess that's an accomplishment. But it grossed $73.1 million in its opening weekend, surpassing 2001's Planet of the Apes for the biggest July opening of all time. It also surpassed Rush Hour 2 as the biggest opening for a comedy film, and it finished its box office with an international haul of $296.6 million, which, okay, so Shrek was $484 million. So Shrek is still the biggest Mike Myers movie. Regardless, it made a lot of money. There probably would have been a fourth Austin Powers if Mike Myers' career didn't tank basically immediately after this. So I guess silver lining. The title of the film, Goldmember, led to legal action by MGM, the distributors of the James Bond franchise, that briefly led to the film's title being removed from promotional materials and trailers. But the dispute was quickly resolved, and the film title remained unchanged on the provision that the film would include trailers in its cinema releases for the then upcoming James Bond film, Die Another Day, and The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film received a rating of 53%, with the site's critical consensus reading, while the narrative structure is messy and doesn't make much sense. Boy, you can say that fucking again. The third installment of the Austin Powers franchise contains enough inspired bits to entertain. And that
false.
Agree to disagree.
False. Not even agree to disagree. That is a bold-faced lie.
The last thing that I will mention, well, there's two things that I'll mention. One's from Wikipedia, and one is a half-remembered thing that I don't have a source for. So the Wikipedia thing is Myers was nominated for the MTV Movie Award for Best Villain for the third time. I'm assuming for Dr. Evil, because none of these other villains are none of these other villains are even MTV Movie Award worthy. He lost against DeVay Chase for her role as Samara Morgan, the creepy girl in The Ring, making it the first time Myers lost the award. But he did win the award for Best Comedic Performance, making it the first time he won the award, which I love the fact that Mike Myers was a 2-time Best Villain winner, but had never won Best Comedic Performance until Goldmember.
I mean, we've seen the films.
The thing that I kind of like half remember is I feel like I was reading IMDb trivia about this movie, and I believe, I don't think it had a source, but it said that Mike Myers has said that Goldmember is his favorite of the trilogy, which is interesting to me, because if you had told me that Mike Myers' family was kidnapped and he was forced to make a third Austin Powers movie, I would believe you based on the amount of joy and creativeness in this film, or lack thereof. It just doesn't seem that much fun for anyone. And there are a couple of exceptions. There were a couple of moments, sometimes these movies I feel like I laugh because what the hell else am I going to do? You know what I mean? It's like Stockholm syndrome.
Man, not me.
But
not me.
Yeah. And so I don't know if the few things that I thought were funny were actually funny.
I think it's that thing that we were talking about the last time, where Mike Myers just kind of like shakes and like if you don't laugh, you're just watching this grown man just like kind of like anticipate a laugh. Yeah. So it's like you kind of just have to awkwardly laugh because like this man is making me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I one of my notes is that there is, even by the standards of a Mike Myers movie, there's so much of Mike Myers mugging directly into the camera in this movie, like so much of it. And I don't know if I was hyper conscious of that because we had that conversation about Shrek, or if it just genuinely is, there's just more of it. But I just felt like there was so much more of just Mike Myers' face, like right in the camera. It's very, very irritating. In terms of our metrics here, this is a dire minutes to Mike, and it's for a reason that we'll get into, because the intro is very low on Mike. It takes 3 minutes and 39 seconds for us to see or hear Mike Myers. And
this is like So I Married an Ex-Murderer time. Like, I don't think we've had this long of a minutes to Mike since So I Married an Ex-Murderer.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So I mean, they really draw this out, and I don't think it pays off necessarily. On the other hand,
nope, not at all.
This is a level of Mike proof that should honestly not even be legal. We're looking at a 259 proof Mike content, which
like,
already
it's like when you make moonshine yourself and it would kill people.
Which that's even more than Spy Who Shagged Me, which was just our previous record holder at a range of 235 to 245. This actually doesn't even have a range. It's just straight up at least one mic in the vast majority of the scenes. And in many scenes, there are at least two mics. But this is the definition of quantity over quality.
And this mini-me gets a mic costume.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like just gorging yourself, and you're
if you want to kill yourself.
Right. It's a deadly amount of Mike. This is death by Mike Myers. Just the saddest way to go. So yeah, I mean, if you want to see a lot of Mike Myers reacting to himself, then I guess that's really the only situation under which I would recommend this movie to you. Everyone else, I think, can safely stay away, including people who loved the other Austin Powers movies, and certainly people who liked the first but not the second. There is no righting the ship here. This is going way further into the, just broad bottom of the barrel early 2000s comedy. It's honestly shocking to me that the same guy directed Austin Powers International Man of Mystery and Austin Powers and Goldmember, because the sensibilities are completely different, with a few small exceptions. Like, this is still very much a Mike Myers movie, but it's a Mike Myers movie with all of the cleverness and artistry systematically stripped out of it.
And it's very like of its time, which like wasn't, I don't know, like even in the second one, like the guest music stars were Burt Bacharach and Elvis Costello. That's still interesting. And this one is just Britney Spears.
Oh, yeah. God.
Which, like, I don't have a problem with Britney Spears.
I don't have a problem with Britney Spears.
I like that song, Free Britney.
Right.
But it's just so strange. Like, why in an Austin Powers movie? There's no reason for it. And then they do the stupid fembot thing.
Yeah, she becomes a
the
fembot.
Wasn't even that important in the goddamn movie. That should have been
the Britney Spears documentary. They should, as an example of the many ills that the media industry did to Britney.
Right. And my thing with them keeping and bringing up the fembot thing is that it was like it was not that big of a important plot point in the first one. Like, yeah, the fembots existed and that was like a funny gag or whatever, but they really like dragged them up in every single movie since then for no reason.
Right. It just makes me think. So for the last, holy shit, it's almost been 20 years since this fucking movie came out, because it was 2002 and now it's 2021. So that's wild. So basically for almost 20 years now, Mike has been threatening to make a fourth Austin Powers movie. Like every couple of years he pops up and he's like, oh, I got an idea and blah, blah, blah. But it just like seeing how out of ideas he was 20 years ago. It's like, oh, I'm sure that the new one, if it ever comes out, or if it comes out at a time when this is still relevant, I'm sure the fucking Kardashians are going to be fembots. Like it's just, I feel like we could write an Austin Powers 4, and honestly, it would probably be.
Maybe we should. Maybe that should be the end result, is that we write Austin Powers 4.
We write and shoot a fourth Austin Powers movie, just on our iPhones. Maybe I feel like there might be enough brain damage by the end of this year that will happen. Like, but yeah, I mean, so this is actually a good transition. Speaking of its time, we open with this fake Austin Powers movie trailer. The movie, and so this is a fully Mike-less scene. You don't necessarily know that at first, but they're not showing Austin Powers' face, and it's kind of obvious that there's something different. I mean, for one thing, he's doing way more action than I think Mike Myers would.
Well, also, what tipped me off is I'm like, oh, where's the dance scene?
Yeah, exactly.
And then after this stupid fake trailer, he starts dancing. I'm like, I literally in my notes, well, here goes the fucking dancing.
There it is. Yeah. I'm sorry I asked. So Tom Cruise is playing Austin Powers. Gwyneth Paltrow is playing the what do we call a Bond girl? A Powers girl, an Austin girl? I don't know, but she's Gwyneth Paltrow is the like female lead, which her name is Dixie Normus, which doesn't even make sense. And then hilariously, Kevin Spacey. Like,
yeah, I know.
I was literally thinking this fake trailer was never like I'm not mad at it necessarily. Like it's kind of good for a chuckle, especially when Danny DeVito shows up as Mini-Me. But that's mostly just because I just love seeing Danny DeVito.
I know, that's exactly what I wrote too. I'm like, Danny DeVito was hilarious because I just like Danny DeVito.
Just like, the existence of Danny DeVito is hilarious. He could honestly not even be in the fucking Mini-Me costume.
Yeah, I know. Just be fair. It's like, why is Danny DeVito there? It doesn't matter.
But so I was already thinking like this just didn't really age well. Like it's just kind of silly. And then Kevin Spacey showed up, and I was like, "Wow, talk about a different context!" Like,
right.
And he's like really like milking it, and it's just fascinating. The title of the fake movie is Austin Pussy, which that got a deep world weary sigh from me.
It doesn't even fucking make it. It's like Dixie Normus. It's like why Austin Pussy?
Yeah, it's literally just. I mean, obviously, there's a James Bond movie called Octopussy, and even that was stretching the boundaries of what is a pun. You know, it's just so like
much more sense.
But at least octopus and pussy are both words. Yeah.
Right.
It just felt like they're just not even trying. And then, like you said, we cut away from the fake trailer. Austin, I guess, is directing or no, he's not. He's observing the film being made. Steven Spielberg is the director. And then we get the Soul Bossa Nova dance, of course.
I will say it was kind of funny when Steven Spielberg just like jumped in and started dancing. That was kind of funny. Yes,
exactly. It was like obvious body double. Like as you know, if you've been listening to this podcast, we both love a good fake, like obviously fake body double gag. So that got a laugh out of me.
Yeah, that was my first laugh, I think.
The random Britney Spears cameo. She
hated it. The ballet thing, I wrote that this ballet thing can go straight to hell. I would rather see Mike Myers' ass.
Was that the intention? Are they just trying to make us just like beg for Mike Myers? Like, please just show us that ass again. Like we
were wrong.
We didn't know. We didn't know it would be worse. It's so much like I just feel like I'm being bullied into having fun, and that's just not
exactly. I don't know. It feels like being trapped in a car with the most basic, like annoying people ever. That's what it feels, and they're all like cracking jokes.
Yeah, this movie is like it was made by the people who used to quote Austin Powers all the time.
Right? Yeah, it's like a fan. It's like when C-Lab 2021 did the episode that was like written by fans, and it was just obnoxious.
Oh yeah,
that's what terrible. Austin Powers movies.
Exactly. So I don't know. It's been a while. We actually watched this pretty early in the month, and then we put off recording it because we were both like, "I'm gonna fucking lose it if I spend time talking about Goldmember." So my memory of the movie is a little bit murky. I do know that next we go to Dr. Evil. His lair is now under the Hollywood sign. Quincy Jones.
Quincy Jones will do anything, I guess.
I'm glad he probably got a paycheck, and it is kind of cool that they're giving him credit for, because I feel like a lot of people our age didn't even know that was a Quincy Jones song. It was just the Austin Powers song,
Right, yeah. But I also feel like those same people would not give a fuck, don't know who Quincy Jones
probably
is.
Just still didn't know who he was. Yeah.
They were just like, who's this old dude? Like,
yeah. So many cameos at the beginning of this movie. That's the other thing. It just feels like this unearned victory lap. It's like this movie that is so excited about itself. And I do not share in that excitement. So, Dr. Evil is at his lair under the Hollywood sign. The thing that I put in my notes, there was a gag here where Vern Troyer as Mini-Me is in a baby Bjorn on Dr. Evil's chest. And it wasn't so much that the gag was funny, but I was just like, how did they not already do this in the second movie? I just feel like they did everything else. Like they did him in the 2-person scooter. They did the piano on top of the piano. Like, it honestly seems like the baby Bjorn would have been one of the first things they do. But anyway, they got to it. So there you go.
Maybe it was one of those things where they like wrote it and they were like, no, let's save this for the third one.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. I think what happens is they're making this evil plan, and then Austin ends up bursting in and catching him early on. Is that right? Am I remembering this correctly?
I don't remember. My notes are inconclusive because I just said certain parts can go to hell. I didn't write any like plot points or anything.
Yeah,
I think so. Like they catch him and then he's in jail. I remember that part because that's when they do the stupid dad thing where he keeps saying dad, and then Dr. Evil just walks right out of the jail, which that was weird. It was just stupid.
Yeah. So he gets caught. He gets sentenced by the World Court, which I guess is like, I don't know, the United Nations, I guess. You know, it's obviously like it's a joke about just like the kind of vague political structures that they have in movies like this. Austin is knighted.
Oh, yeah. And his dad is here. Okay, I remember.
Yeah, we learned for the first time that Austin Powers had a dad who was apparently also like a super suave spy. But we don't know. We haven't seen him yet because he's not. There's a sign there for Nigel Powers, and it's not there. So all of Austin's daddy issues, which we saw neither hide nor hair of in either of the first two movies, suddenly becomes like the dominant theme of this third one. He's at after he gets knighted, he's at a party at his groovy pad, which is all kitted out to look like the 60s, which it's kind of a nice touch. I like the idea that Austin Powers, despite having adjusted to the 2000s, just chooses in his own personal space. He just chooses to create a 60s vibe, you know, for himself. So it's like there's always a little part of the 60s. So Ming T is here, Austin Powers / Mike Myers band.
Oh my God. That's what this note meant. I forgot what I said. My notes just say this "Daddy Wasn't There" song can go straight to hell, and I was like, "What does it mean?" It's just a god awful song. It's just terrible. It is.
Yeah.
It's so
it really is.
I was literally just like sinking into my chair.
Yeah, because like do the BBC from the first one. Low key kind of slaps. Like I like do the BBC, but Daddy Wasn't There. It doesn't even sound 60s to me. It's just.
It sounds like garbage. It's just garbage.
Yeah, it's just dumb. It's honestly, I feel like it's got to be a career low for Susanna Hoffs. Like I'm just like, what is she doing here? I remembered then that she's married to the director, so maybe it was. I guess sometimes you do things for your spouse that.
Girl, I wouldn't do that though.
Yeah, if my spouse was directing Goldmember, I'd be like, you know what? I'm happy for you. I'll see you at the premiere. But I guess I'm not as good a spouse as
I don't want any parts of this. Any parts of this is all yours.
So then we go to, I think, I don't know, fucking something happens, and maybe it's because it's.
Fucking something.
Oh, I remember what happens. I remember what happened. So there's like a boat. They find the British intelligence finds a boat. It had disappeared, and then it shows up again, and the crew have all had their dicks painted gold.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is the calling card of this guy Goldmember, which we'll talk about Goldmember because I feel like this is on the one hand, it has the ingredients of being a classic Mike Myers character, but it's like he forgot to give him literally anything to do in this movie. Like it's like he comes up with this character and just sticks him in the movie. The explanation that Goldmember lost his genitalia in an unfortunate smelting accident. That's an extremely Mike Myers line, but that's all it is.
It's honestly, it could be a funny character.
It could have been.
But he's just stupid. He's just stupid. He doesn't do anything. It like doesn't make any sense. Like the smelting accent thing, like that could have been, that was funny, whatever. That's a fine premise. But then It's like he comes out and he's roller skating, and then he's like weirdly flexible, and then he also like his skin is peeling and he eats his skin. Like what the fuck? What does any of this mean?
Yeah,
it's so stupid.
I'll give the movie its props. I think that this next scene is dumb and like a really obvious parody, and not really a parody that belongs in the Austin Powers universe, but it works for the story. So, you know, like in Silence of the Lambs, there's this serial killer on the loose, and to catch the serial killer, they go and talk to Hannibal Lecter. It's the idea that because there's this other serial killer who's currently in prison, he can give them some insight into the way that a psychopath's mind works. And so they do that, and it's like they do the whole thing where he's got the face mask and all that stuff. Dr. Evil, I'm talking about. And it's a Hannibal Lecter parody. And it's like, you know, narratively, this is kind of a funny idea, but it just doesn't really, it doesn't feel, I don't know, something about it just feels off for Austin Powers. Like, I just don't see Silence of the Lambs and Austin Powers coexisting.
Yeah, I didn't even get it as a reference. I just thought it was dumb. I was just biding my time until the movie ended. But I've never seen Silence of the Lambs, so that was my Quincy Jones that went right over my head. And apparently it should have. Like, it didn't make any goddamn difference if it did or not. So
it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't really add that much to it. It's just one of those, you know, it's pop culture reference for pop culture reference sake.
Right. Yeah.
So like that was the time. Like I think we mentioned last time, Scary Movie. You know, all of the lesser Scary Movie like derivatives, even lesser than, it's not like Scary Movie is fucking Citizen Kane, but compared to, you know, Epic Movie, like
right. Yeah, and the first Austin Powers really wasn't like that. Like there were some references, but starting in the second one, that's when it just became like it's just Scary Movie, but with a British guy running around doing stupid stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, there are some references in this movie that I feel like belong in an Austin Powers film. Like Nigel Powers, his dad, is played by Sir Michael Caine. Is he a sir? I'm pretty sure he is.
He is in my book.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. I don't care what the Queen thinks. He is.
He's Sir Michael Caine.
But he is in fact a real star. I just checked. So yeah, Sir Michael Caine plays Nigel Powers, and you know, like he wears the glasses just like Michael Caine when he was young wore in the Ipcress File, and that was apparently like Austin Powers' horn rim glasses were a reference to that. So I think that's cool. That like kind of takes it full circle.
I thought Michael Caine was great casting, and that also was my first genuine laugh, was when Nigel Powers and Austin Powers are like catching up and they just start talking in ridiculous Cockney slang.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
That was my first genuine laugh. Second genuine laugh was also Michael Caine, and it's when he said, "There's only two things I can't stand: people who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch."
and
then I don't think I laughed anymore. So my first and second and last laughs were both Michael Caine.
Right. And those feel like classic Austin Powers gags, like the Cockney thing. It's that idea of, you know, like we were talking about before, these like hyper specific jokes that not everybody is going to get. The obscure Cockney slang is definitely, that feels like an Austin Powers joke. The Ipcress File reference feels like an Austin Powers joke. The thing about the Dutch, that kind of absurd non sequitur is like, you know, Mike Myers in a good way.
Yeah, it's like Mike Myers at his best.
It's what I like about Mike
He's
Myers.
usually not at his best.
Right.
Plus, like we said before, I just like Michael Caine. I would be happy with Michael Caine. Michael Caine and Danny DeVito, honestly, if that was the movie, it'd be so much better. I don't need Austin Powers to be in it. Just give me Michael Caine and Danny DeVito hanging out. That sounds great. Instead of Beyonce, it could just be Michael Caine and Danny DeVito.
So anyway, so we do that, and then we also have this just all of the backstory. I would say generously, this is poking fun at the concept of a prequel and like the idea that we need to have these elaborate explanations of what happened before the movie. That like who the fuck cares? You know what Dr. Evil and Austin Powers were like at college. Right. Why were they at college?
Like, why were they roommates? but then here, okay, should I spoil the ending?
let's go ahead and spoil the ending. Yeah.
Okay, so they're brothers.
They're also brothers.
That's what we find out later. What the fuck?
I know.
I mean, I guess it like explains it in a really cumbersome way, but like, why the fuck would they be? It's just stupid. It's just fucking stupid.
It is, and it's like it makes it less funny in retrospect that they're played by the same actor, because now it's like, oh, now there's a canonical reason for them to have the same face. And it's like, it was funnier when it was just Mike Myers playing two unrelated characters. Are we going to find out that Fat Bastard and Goldmember are we going to find out in movie number 4 that they're also brothers? They were actually quadruplets. I don't actually want to talk about the Japanese twins, because we talked about that in a previous episode. And there's nothing.
I don't have anything to say except
there's nothing else to say. That whole gag
can just go straight to hell. I hate it. I hate it. The only thing that's kind of funny about that is I do like when he whips out the to-do list and that specific scenario of him having sex with twins, with Japanese twins, is on there. That's kind of funny, but
exactly. And the thing right above that is catch Dr. Evil in the first act, and it's crossed out because it already happened in the movie.
Yeah.
That's a good gag. If they had just cut down that scene to just the bare minimum to get the Japanese twins thing, and maybe not make it Japanese twins, and definitely not make them have those accents.
Yeah, or it could have been Japanese twins and not have them be weird, like gross schoolgirl.
Like schoolgirl, yeah. That's another thing. Honestly, I was going to say it didn't age well, but even in 2002, he should have fucking known better. Oh, also, Austin says to the twins, "You're going the right way for a smack bottom," which is a Shrek line. So that's something
he said. So Mike Myers has said those lines to Eddie Murphy and to Japanese women.
It's a flexible line, I guess. What can I say? So basically, the plot doesn't fucking make sense, but basically he somehow gets out of Dr. Evil that Goldmember is responsible for the penis gilding, I guess. I guess that's how you would describe that. And he has to travel back to 1975 to find him. So he goes back to 1975, and they go to Studio 69. It's a Studio 54 reference. Honestly, kind of a bummer that they didn't have Mike Myers play another character that is just his character from 54. I think that would have been more clever. Yeah. Or even just use footage from him in 54, just splice it into the movie. This is where we introduce Beyonce as Foxy Cleopatra. And it's like, okay, it's a potentially good idea, or maybe not good idea. Maybe good might be too strong a word. It's a potentially fruitful idea to have an Austin Powers movie that parodies 70s films in the way that the first two, but especially the first Austin Powers, parodied 60s films. So like, I get it. I get that Foxy Cleopatra is like a blaxploitation. She's like a Pam Grier type character. I get that Studio 69 is Studio 54. I get the whole disco thing, but I think it's just really obvious that Mike Myers and Jay Roach don't have the same level of affection and knowledge of the 70s that they do the 60s. So it just ends up feeling like a really lazy, like, yeah, we've got afros and disco music and honestly, not even cocaine. They don't even do cocaine.
Right. And a lot of those things, like I hate when decades are summarized by the biggest scenes or whatever that happened in the decade, but it doesn't make any sense because those things didn't happen at the same time. Right. You know what I'm talking about? Like a lot. I mean, like there was some overlap, but I just hate that the 70s are like disco. Disco was like 75 through what, like 77, 78.
Right.
Like it really wasn't that. Other than it being significant, like culturally, it wasn't that significant of a time. It didn't last the whole fucking decade. And I hate when it's like, oh, it's the 70s, so disco. It's so stupid. It makes me mad. I mean, it's just a dumb comedy, but even with that, something that involves time travel, I think you have to be like aware and accurate about certain things.
Well, it makes it funnier. It makes I feel like the more like tailored the humor is, the better. And so, the anachronisms in Spy Who Shagged Me really fucking annoyed me. And I feel like there's maybe less anachronisms in this, or maybe I just didn't care anymore. I didn't notice anachronisms as much, but I did just notice it's just like a very basic version of.
Well, here's one. Groove Me. At the end, they played Groove Me by King Floyd. That was from 71, not 75. Now, that could technically still existed in 75. But it's like, why choose something from 71 for that when there's a lot of music from 75? It's just stupid.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So Beyonce, I think she's often kind of singled out as one of the bad things about the movie. And she's not great. I feel like if Beyonce had the choice, let me put it this way. If Beyonce had the choice, she would destroy all copies of Goldmember and memory wipe us so that we don't remember the movie.
And honestly, I wish she would. Like, I want Beyonce to have that power.
I would gladly submit to that.
Please, yes. Like, please. I don't want to have a movie. Do you?
No.
Exactly.
I'll give it up. No problem. Yeah, Beyonce now, it's like she can do no wrong. And it's wild to think that this is Work It Out is her first solo single. Without Goldmember, there would be no Lemonade.
Hey, take it. Here's a fun drinking game. Take a drink whenever Beyonce says sugar or jive turkey.
Oh God, yeah.
If the mic doesn't fuck you up that well.
Yeah. Yeah, Beyonce, she's not an actress as we've seen. I think she's attempted acting a couple of other times, but she doesn't have a lot of dialogue in movies anymore. And I think this movie you really see why. She seems like she's reading all of her lines off of a cue card. She doesn't really seem to be reacting to the other actors. It made me think about this is a really circuitous way to get to this reference, but it reminded me of a story I read about the old lady who did the Where's the Beef commercials for Wendy's, where she was like very hard of hearing. So somebody had to, when it was her cue to say, "Where's the beef?" somebody had to like crawl into the shot and like tap her leg. And then she'd just yell out, "Where's the beef?" And that's what all of Beyonce's lines feel like she's been cued, and she just blurts it out. Like, she doesn't seem to be reacting to the other actors at all. I did sort of enjoy, partly just because it was so bizarre, Nathan Lane shows up. He's like the go-between for Foxy and Austin. And so Foxy is sitting with her back to Austin and talking to him, like, so the idea is so you can't tell that they're talking to each other, but Nathan Lane is just lip syncing what Beyonce says. And, Nathan Lane is funny. So that worked. And then I liked when he slapped Austin Powers for Beyonce. The laughs are so few and far between in this movie that I'll take whatever I can get.
I wish Nathan Lane had just been the stand-in for the whole movie. It's just, you think you're going to get a Beyonce like role in this movie, and it just ends up being Nathan Lane with her voice.
Yeah, I think we keep finding ways to improve this movie. And then Goldmember shows up. We kind of started talking about Goldmember. So the thing about Goldmember, apparently Mike Myers was watching an episode of Real Sex on HBO that featured a Dutch man who operated a sex barn, whatever that is, a sex barn north of Rotterdam. And the man's distinct forms of expression caught Myers' attention while he was writing. And it's like, okay, fine.
Did he say, "I'm Dutch"? Isn't that funny?
Yeah, I'm like, did he pick the dry skin off of himself and then eat it? Like, I just, I
did he put his legs over his head? Like, which part of this was directly lifted from that episode?
Yeah, it's like he put so much into this character, and it's literally like he just forgot to give him a role in the movie. Like, okay, yes, he's technically the like inciting villain, but like, what the hell? What is any of this? Like, he just painted some sailors' dicks gold. I guess that's just his calling card, that he paints people's dicks gold. Which, like, that's kind of a funny idea, but the movie doesn't do anything with it.
How does he do that? Then how did they find out? Like, that's such. And then, like, I remember there's one scene later on where Goldmember is just like present on the submarine, just like kind of mediating and like commentating on everything.
Yeah, he's just sitting there and like on the sidelines, just commenting on things that other Mike Myers characters are saying. It's, why is he here?
He's just like a peanut gallery.
And then I actually forgot. So in my notes here, I say Goldmember, aside from being disgusting, is just a collection of terrible ticks. And like, my least favorite that he does is when he references something and then he says under his breath the name of the thing he was referencing. So like, he'll be like, "Show me the money, Jerry Maguire." Like, it's just so dumb. It's like, what does this have to do with anything? Another thing, so he offers Austin a schmoke and a pancake, and I wrote in my notes, is that even a joke?
I don't know, but my best friend references that all the time, with even less context than is in Goldmember.
It has the cadence of a joke. It's a joke-oid, certainly.
I mean,
but
I guess it's supposed to be like a joke about Dutch people, but it's so fucking dumb. And then it's like, what, like different ways you can smoke with different breakfast pastries, basically.
Right. The last thing I want to say about Goldmember is that multiple times in the movie he says, this is the thing about Mike Myers, he's insidious, because "toit like a tiger" is not funny at all, and neither is "smoking and a pancake." And yet I feel like I have said "toit like a tiger" several times since I watched this movie.
What's funny is the other day I was talking to my friend Ariana, who she does like waxing and stuff. She went to school to be an esthetician, and I was telling her that I would like when it's safer with the pandemic, like to have her wax my eyebrows. And then I was like, I also want to get freaking laser hair removal. just to say it like that. Like, I'm so glad we're done with these movies.
Right. Yeah, because it's like, I don't think it's funny. I don't laugh at it in context, but for some reason it's funny to be out of context.
It's funny out of context when you're talking about something that's like total has nothing to do with it. It's just, I was literally just telling her about like my hair removal plans in the future, and I just was like, this is a good time to insert a stupid Dr. Evil reference.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, every time I do that, I'm like, God damn it, Myers! Like, you got me. Like, he still won, and like, yes, it's a bad movie, but he still infected me with this thing where "toit like a tiger" is in my head. Like, the person he's meeting is looking toit like a tiger. This is like the Saturday Night Live school of comedy, and I feel like Goldmember probably would have been a reasonably popular character if he had been in a 3-minute SNL sketch. But instead he's in a 90-minute movie that's named after him. But he doesn't have anything. He makes a Fat Bastard look like one of the great characters in cinema, like fucking Marlon Brando in The Godfather. Like, and Fat Bastard is literally just an obese Scottish man who farts a lot. Like, but at least there's like, you know, his tics like have some kind of cohesion to them. Right.
I have a note about the awful part where Dr. Evil is in jail and Frau Fabrisna visits him as a conjugal visit, I guess, or something. And then they start playing ELO, I guess, because 1975, but also this is taking place in 2001 or whatever. Present. Like it's the present. So it doesn't make
Evil Woman.
Sense.
So I guess it's because Frau is an evil woman.
Yeah, but then it gets worse because then he starts wagging his tail and jiggling his nipples to the guitar part in Evil Woman. It made me so angry.
Yeah, and I like that song, so I don't appreciate having to think about Dr. Evil stimulating his nipples every time I listen to it.
Also, the fact that it was to the music, because it's like, were they playing the music in the jail and they're just wiggling?
It's diegetic.
Right.
Yeah. Do they put on? Do you get to choose a song to listen to during your conjugal visit?
Right.
He's in that goddamn bandana again. I think the Just the Two of Us scene must have been like a smash hit because
now it's too Hard Knock Life. I was so
God.
mad at J&B for this movie. So angry.
That's true. They're both culpable for this movie.
Yes, exactly. Because Jay-Z had to allow them to use that song.
Yeah, he licensed it. Yeah, he could have said no
to them. Beyonce chose to do this fucking movie.
Right.
Like, they are partly responsible for Goldmember, and I'm angry at them.
In my notes, I say, did anyone really ask for another Dr. Evil rap? And then
probably
as he reached the second verse, I added with 2 verses. Like it is interminable.
At the end of that, when they break out, why do they escape with banjo music playing in the background, and then they're both wearing furry Kangles? Like furry Kangle bucket hats? It's so stupid. It's so stupid, but that part was funny just because it's like, why are they?
What is going on? Also, during this scene, we had a flashback to when Dr. Evil's birth mother died. Also, Austin Powers' birth mother. No, it doesn't make sense. I guess at this point we can say, since we already spoiled that scene, there's parts where, again, Michael Caine is a shining light of this movie. One of the few
when he yells, "Oh, shut up!" The part where Mike Myers is doing the stupid mole thing, and Michael Caine is just, "Oh, shut up!" I wish he would. Just insert him in so many other scenes.
That was probably unscripted. He was like, I've had it.
Right.
But so those flashback scenes, this is one of the few kind of clever things is they use footage of Michael Caine in the 1967 film Harry Sundown reacting to the car exploding. So they splice in actual footage of a young Michael Caine. So that's cool. Is it worth retconning so that Dr. Evil and Austin Powers are brothers? No, it's not. But
at least it gives it some redeeming quality.
Right. So you mentioned the mole scene. I don't think we need to talk about them.
It fucking sucks. That's all you need to know about it.
I played the mole scene in the Wayne's World 2 episode, and my opinion about it has not changed.
The only time I laughed was when Michael Caine yelled, "Oh, shut up."
Speaking for all of us.
Just because I felt it. Like, I was like, when Michael Caine yelled, "Oh, shut up," I felt that.
I want to start glossing over stuff, to be honest, because the plot doesn't fucking make sense. They go to Tokyo.
I do, with one exception, which is that Dr. Evil is now in a submarine that's shaped like him for some reason.
Yeah.
And when they show it, the full body, it like air escapes from the like butt area.
Right.
So it looks like it farts.
Yeah.
Why did it fart? I'll tell you why, because Mike Myers farts when he's submerged in water. You cannot be any more submerged in water than a submarine.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, even in submarine form, he's still.
I mean, there are technically 2 mics in there.
Okay, so yeah, he's got the Dr. Evil shaped submarine. For some reason, I guess he's fled to Tokyo. Well, so they have another plan. I don't know. I think
it doesn't make any sense.
I don't remember what the plan is.
I don't either, but he's explaining the plan.
Oh, it's a tractor beam. It brings the Earth closer to the sun, I think, is what it is.
Maybe. I don't know.
And so this time he calls
it. He's got all these different models of the Earth and the sun and stuff, and they keep falling on him and hitting him and hitting him in the balls. And it wasn't funny, but I just felt so much pleasure watching it. Just because I wanted to see Mike Myers in pain. Like I enjoyed seeing Mike Myers get hurt. So every time he got hit in the head with something or smacked in the balls, I just felt so much joy because I wanted it to be real.
So his evil plan this time is called Preparation H, which I looked this up because I was like, this is definitely this does not seem right to me. Like, surely Preparation H was around before Dr. Evil was cryogenically frozen. And it's one of my bugaboos that these movies are extremely inconsistent about what Dr. Evil knows and doesn't know.
Very particular about your hemorrhoid trivia.
Yeah, exactly. Like as a hemorrhoid sufferer,
right.
This is offensive to me as a person with a disability. Yeah, Preparation H has been around since 1935. Why doesn't Dr. Evil know what it is? Why does Goldmember know what it is? Like, I'm like, what? It's just completely inconsistent. So he's in Tokyo for some. I mean, the real reason why Dr. Evil is in Japan, the story reason is that they had this guy, this Japanese businessman whose name is Roboto. They had him create the key that would activate he probably created the whole tractor beam, but he makes the key, which by the way, again, spoiler alert, is an exact replica of Goldmember's gold penis. Is this a coincidence, or did they purposely model it off of Goldmember? Anyway, basically the reason why this movie is in Japan, well, there's two reasons. One is so that they can parody You Only Live Twice, which is the Bond movie that's in Japan. And the other reason is so that they can have a character named Mr. Roboto, which is like, Argh!
It's so stupid. Yeah, it makes me mad. That song is a banger.
All of the setup, this whole fucking, it cost tens of $millions to make this movie so that we can get to a 20-year-old Styx reference. Like, come on.
Yeah, also just the subtext of this movie is, haha, Japanese people are
right.
funny.
It's like, the idea of Japan, intrinsically hilarious. Fat Bastard is, of course, a sumo wrestler now.
Why? Because he's fat. That's it. So stupid.
And it's like when he's introduced, his first line is, "Are we done here? I've got to take a crap."
Yeah, why is Fat Bastard obsessed with his own shit? That's such a stupid.
He constantly shitting? He's either shitting or farting at all times.
I hate that part where, first of all, he calls the Mawashi a diaper, and then he talks about how he left some shit in it. Again, he is just constantly shitting. And then throws it, because Austin is in like a bin, like a laundry bin.
Right.
And they're all throwing their Mawashis in there. And then Fat Bastard throws his in. And when he gets his thrown in on him, Austin jumps out because it smells disgusting or something.
It's honestly like,
I don't have anything to say about that. I just fucking hate it so much. It's just so crass and stupid.
It's like a fetish, like how obsessed he is with his. With
yes.
Shit.
Yeah, it's not funny. It's not like I don't know, like I think poop is funny as much as the next guy, but it's like it reaches a point where it just like he farts at one point and like wafts it into his nose. It's so gross. It actually reminded me of that part in the Shrek the Musical.
Yeah, which is like a triggering part of that musical. Also, they have a fight where they're on wires because this is after Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and the wires snap because
he's fat. Fat people.
It's just dumb. There's a side plot in this movie where Scott wants to be evil now, and he is also going bald for some reason. Abruptly. I don't know. I felt I felt bad for everyone in this movie except for Mike Myers because it's his fucking fault. But I felt a little bit bad for Seth Green because he's really trying in this movie, and it's not worth the effort. It's just
We're
not.
all trying. We're all trying, man.
Yeah. So Scott gives Dr. Evil sharks with laser beams attached to their heads. So it's like, now it's the reverse of the last movie where Scott was jealous of Mini-Me. Now Mini-Me is jealous of Scott, and that ends up luring Mini-Me over to the good guys. And so then Mini-Me starts dressing like Austin Powers, which is an idea that is much funnier in theory than in practice. In practice, it's just kind of like, okay, I don't know where they got a tiny Austin Powers wig on and a tiny, crushed velvet suit on short notice, but I guess I'll roll with it. One thing I wanted to point out about this is that Nigel is on the submarine. He's being, held captive, and Mini-Me comes to like bring him his food or whatever, and Nigel strikes up a friendship with him, and within 5 minutes of the conversation starting, he wants Mini-Me to pull his pants down so he can see his dick.
Yeah, that was really, really strange.
It's like, this is weird.
Like, especially since Mini-Me's whole characterization, which is wrong because he is an adult, but he's characterized as a child. So that made it even weirder. And like, I got where they were going, that he wants to like compliment his, I say that I know where it was going, but like, I mean, I can kind of see the thought process. I get that like he wants to compliment his dick because it's like, oh, like, I think I know who's the real boss around here or whatever.
Right.
It's kind of like reverse psychology.
It's just a weird way for it to come up. Maybe this is a totally normal male bonding thing, and I just don't hang out with enough manly men. But
if you only went off of the media that we consume, you would be led to believe that. Because we have Kiss and this.
Yeah, exactly.
And
there's just a lot of platonic dong hanging. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just something that's missing from my life. Then Austin and Foxy infiltrate Roboto Industries. There's the whole gag with the subtitles, which is like, it's whatever. It's not. I didn't want to kill myself when I was watching it, but I didn't want to kill myself,
but I definitely wanted to harm myself.
It's like compared to smoking a pancake and I've got to take a crap. It's hilarious, but it's like fucking Peter Sellers level. But
oh, man. One more thing about Mini-Me. When Austin says that is so not funny after Mini-Me hits on Foxy Cleopatra, and just that and shut up should just be inserted at like different parts of the movie.
It's like random, like after a joke. There's a part where he's like hiding from a camera. So he knocks a guy out in Robato's headquarters, and then he needs to hide from, I think, the security guy behind the desk. For some reason, there's a statue of that famous statue of I think it's literally called Mannequin Piss. It's a famous statue of like a cherub pissing that's like a fountain. And he's standing behind it, but he accidentally kicks the cord out of the fountain, so the fountain stops. So he has to create a stream of pee.
I guess. He does.
Well, I guess the idea is that if the guy plugs the fountain back in, he'll see Austin back there. So it's like a repeat of the first movie where he's peeing for a really long time, and it's like, again, it's funnier than Fat Bastard. The thing that bugged me about it, though, is, for one thing, it goes on way too fucking long. Like, obviously, the stream of pee lessons, and he has to keep, like, forcing out more. But then, for some reason, there's he takes a drink of water to make the stream go longer. Then, for some reason, there's a plate of asparagus, and he takes a bite of the asparagus, and I'm like, does Mike Myers think asparagus makes you piss? But then the joke is that it makes his pee smell. But it's just
which
like, why would he eat the asparagus?
And it's also just your pee smelling a little bit weird when you eat asparagus is not even funny.
Right.
It's just an observation.
Right.
It's not a joke.
It's science.
Right. I honestly don't remember what happens next. I do remember at one point the Osbournes are in it, and it's like a weird, like, it's like bizarrely self-aware, but like unapologetic about how they keep reusing the same jokes.
Right.
Because the Osbournes are like, they're saying that they keep using the same jokes. And
right. And I'm like, yeah. Thank you, Ozzy. Like, why am I watching this? This is an excellent point. Yeah, because it's the same joke as where there's the flying dick and everybody's saying,
that's what it is. Oh, and you know what's extra funny about that is that when they started showing it, I'm like, not again. Because not only is it the same thing, but also, like, in the second movie, they did it so goddamn much.
Right.
That it's like, really? Y'all are going to do this shit again? Really?
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, Clint Howard is back for that. I hope Clint Howard got paid for this. There's a part, I don't even remember what the context was, but I wrote this down in my notes that Nigel says, I think being frozen damaged your brain. And I was like, whew, truth bomb. There's an Austin Powers and Mini-Me fight that made me laugh just because there was a part where he kicks Mini-Me across the room and he like goes flying and hits his head on the fridge, and it's like brutal.
Yeah, like he would
it's
die.
So violent.
He would die. this is a little bit. I can't. Well, I'll let you go ahead because I don't remember which part it is. But I do have another genuine laugh in this movie.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't remember which part it was in, but it was when they break into something and they have to get. There's only like one uniform, and so. Right. Austin says one of us will have to go on the other's shoulders, but then it cuts immediately to the next scene, and Austin is the head, which means that he's on Mini-Me's shoulders. That's funny.
Yeah,
and then it just immediately devolves. But
it is really funny, and that's when they're sneaking onto the submarine. This is like we're basically at the end of the movie at this point, and I realize that we haven't given a good sense of what the plot of this movie is. But even when you watch it, you're like, why is any of this happening? Why are they in Japan? Well, it's like we complained about this a little bit in Spy Who Shagged Me because of like the whole thing with the shit and the stool sample and all that stuff. But again, like the Spy Who Shagged Me is intricately plotted compared to this. This movie is just
there's no rhyme or reason. And also doesn't help that we watched this like almost a month ago too. So
it's also true. And it's a very forgettable movie. But yeah, that part, it has more of a fun absurdity to it and less of just the like dumb toilet humor that so much of the rest is. It cracked me up watching, and just like the way he's just he's this bizarre, like completely inhuman shape. Like his legs will be in one place and his torso will be in another. Like it's just so weird. And then even that though, they ruin it because they do a repeat of the silhouette comedy, which I thought was kind of funny in Spy Who Shagged Me.
I hated it. I hated it so much more in this one.
It's so much worse because like at least like the image of somebody getting stuff pulled out of their ass is legible. But this is like, I don't even know what the guy thinks he's seeing because because it's very clearly like a baby arm.
my only guess is that like in the earlier, I think it was a reference to back in the earlier scene when Nigel Powers says that Mini-Me's penis is like a baby arm holding an apple. I think they just took that joke and made it visual. Like it was a literal visual. It's literally Mini-Me's arm holding an apple. And that's the silhouette. So it looks like his dick is a baby arm holding an apple. It's so stupid.
It's so stupid. And then it like throws the apple. It's like it doesn't look enough like a penis.
Because then what's the apple if you throw it? Like did the head of the penis come out?
Yeah. It doesn't look enough like a penis for the joke to make sense. It just looks like a little baby arm coming out of his crotch, which I granted is weird, but
it just becomes like an art house film. Yeah. Like weird, bizarre, like it's not comedy anymore. It's just like like surrealist film.
All right. So, they confront Austin, they find out they're brothers, and then Dr. Evil decides to team up with Austin, I guess. Goldmember, it's like they remember that Goldmember has to show up again because the fucking movie's named after him. So he shows up, and that's when we find out that his dick can work as a key for the. I'm still just so puzzled by this whole device. But yeah, before he shows up in my notes, I say, what the fuck happened to Goldmember, aka the title character? Like he's just gone for a long stretch of this movie. And before that, remember, he was just kind of in a lot of scenes, not the main point of the scene. He was just sitting to the side. There's a shot where Dr. Evil's ass gets exposed. I don't remember why.
Because they're climbing the ladder.
Oh, and doesn't he pull his pants down by accident? Something?
And then he says some stupid joke about makes me. I'm just tired. I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's Mike's ass, but it is Dr. Evil's ass, and there's a tattoo on it.
Why wouldn't it be Mike's ass?
Why wouldn't it be? That's a good question. Why would he suddenly now invest in a butt double? Yeah,
right. That's what I'm saying. Like, why wouldn't it be? We've seen it in every other fucking movie.
That's true. We can recognize it at this point. It's not like we've never seen it.
Well, I'm not even just saying that. I'm just wondering why you would think that in this case it wouldn't be Mike's ass, because it has been. I mean, unless he's been using a butt double this whole time, it has been in every other movie except Shrek. But that's only because Mike Myers is not personally featured.
Right. And then the movie just kind of ends, which is honestly probably the best thing about it. It ends very abruptly. And it ends very abruptly and with a John Travolta cameo. So this is actually we're going out on a high note. I like John Travolta better as Goldmember than Mike Myers, like by a lot.
Right, that's what I was saying. And also, I think it's right before that. I think it's like right before when it cuts to more Austin Pussy trailer when Scott just starts yelling that he hates everyone. I like that part too because. Yeah, same.
There's a lot of weird accidental self-critique in this movie that I do appreciate. Self-critique
and also like audience surrogate. So you get you get Michael Caine yelling "shut up." You get Austin Powers saying "that's so not funny," and Scott yelling he hates everyone. That's me. That was me this whole movie.
And
in a freeze frame.
Yeah, that's always you just like. 400 Blows and Purple Rain. Yeah. Equally classic films. Fat Bastard is also at the Austin Pussy screening, and now the joke is that he's not fat anymore. What I thought was funny is that he referenced Jared from Subway, and so like between Jared and Kevin Spacey, we've got two sex offenders in this movie.
Right. I thought the same thing.
So that's fun. I don't have anything else to say. I think I literally said all of my notes for this movie.
Yeah, I did too.
Again, I'm sorry that I don't really remember the plot, but I don't know how much more. Plot to remember. Yeah, I don't know how much more coherent I would have been. This was a bad movie. It was just bad. I never liked it. I didn't like it at the time.
Angry watching a movie since we watched So I Married an Axe Murderer, and I wasn't even half as angry.
I would watch So I Married an Axe Murderer in a heartbeat again.
Oh my God.
This. Like that's that movie's a fucking classic compared to this.
It's funny too because like just a couple minutes ago on my YouTube, one of my suggested videos, because I've been watching a lot of like stuff from Japan because I want to go to Japan soon. And one of the videos was like how pop culture dehumanizes and sexualizes Japanese women, and the picture was "Fuck Me and Fuck You" from Austin Powers.
Yeah, I'm not excited about an Austin Powers 4.
Well, there isn't one yet, so unless one gets released by the end of this year, I don't think we'll have to watch it. I won't watch it.
That's true. Imagine a different timeline where Austin Powers was just a one and done classic movie. And now I just feel like Austin Powers is such a joke. It's so interesting to go back and look. It didn't have to be this way. Like he was so talented. He just
needs to learn how to stop. I feel like he does now. The best thing I can say about Mike Myers is that I never have to hear about him anymore unless we're fucking talking about him. He stays quiet for the most part.
I am both reassured and fearful because it seems like he's kind of priming himself for a comeback. And I'm like, is he just biding his time to unleash just the most obnoxious? He's going to go out in a blaze of glory. Like, I don't know. The quietness of Mike Myers could either be a blessing or the calm before the storm. And that's what I'm going to leave you all with today. So
don't get too comfortable.
Exactly. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back later this month, I guess, because like I said, it's probably going to be April when this comes out. And thank you for coming with us on this harrowing journey.